Now that you know the alphabet in Spanish, I'm just going to go over some of the more common pronunciation issues for English native speakers. And as a slight aside, I do recommend going over the alphabet and these sounds again and again. Number 1, the difference between a single R and a double R sound. This one is actually really difficult for all learners, so don't stress too much. It might take a little bit of time to train your tongue. But without further ado, words with one R have a very fast tap at the top of your mouth. So I'm going to give you an example with the word pero, the word for but. Keep trying to say that word by tapping your tongue at the top of your mouth near your front teeth. It's almost like an American D sound, so think of how Americans say the word ladder, 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 pero, pero, pero. And then with the double R sound, we roll the tongue. You sort of need to blow air along the tongue to make it vibrate. And again, it can help if you have your tongue near the top of your mouth. So this time, pero, pero. Now compare the two. Pero for but and perro for dog. Caro, expensive. Carro, car in Latin America. Number 2, the D and T sounds. These consonants are much softer than the English equivalents. To do them, you need to touch your teeth with your tongue. Practice saying the word todo. You will notice that your tongue is at the back of your front teeth. Todo, todo. Number 3, the extra letter, ñ. This is like a ñ sound, and it can cause some quite common pronunciation mistakes. An easy way to remember about how to do it is if you think of borrowed words from Spanish with an ny, like canyon, or borrowed words from French or Italian with a gn, like lasagna. So it's a ñ, a nasal sound from the top of your mouth. So think año, 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 year. Whereas if you make a mistake, ano, ano means anus. So be careful. That's a very common mistake for first year learners. Number 4, the J and the G sounds. The letters J and G can cause quite a lot of problems. J is always a harsh х sound made at the back of your throat, almost like you are starting to bring up some phlegm. It's much harsher than the English H sound. So think hello, but much harder. So it's a bit more like the Scottish sound loch at the end, the ch, loch. Now the letter G is where problems can arise more commonly. It's only a ch sound if it is before a soft vowel. And whenever I talk about soft vowels, they are E and I. Otherwise, it's a g sound if it is before a harder vowel, A, O, U. So to demonstrate this difference, paga, pocket money. Be careful with that one. Exige, he or she demands. Gimnasio, gym, gorra, cap, gusto, taste. As I said, this one can be really important if you get that sound a little bit confused. Number 5, the double L, y sound. This one is quite well known by non-native speakers. It's pretty much like the English letter Y, so like a y. So think when you first start learning, me llamo, te llamas, llevar. So always try to read them as a Y sound. Although it's worth noting that in places like Argentina and Uruguay, it's more like a sh or j sound. Me llamo, te llamas, llevar. The B and V sounds. This one is somewhat known about. Spanish doesn't really differentiate between the B and V sound. So the letters B and V are always almost like an English soft B. Vino, 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 wine. The most famous one, the Spanish from Spain, Z and C. And this brings us back to ceceo and ceseo. So in Spain, the letter Z and C followed by a soft vowel, E or I, are lisped, just like the English TH. So it's worth noting the letter C does not lisp if the letter afterwards is an A, O or U, just like the letter G didn't do that. And remember, in Latin American Spanish, we don't do this. It's always a S sound. Curiously, English speakers actually have an advantage over people with different native tongues for this sound. It really is just like our TH, the sound. So it comes from putting your tongue at the tip of your top teeth. For example, zapato, Cervantes, zanahoria. Number 8, the letter H. This letter is always silent in Spanish if it's on its own. So think hola, hombre, hacer, hacer. But if it's paired with the letter C, CH, it's just like the English ch sound, church. Think chico, leche, mucho. Number 9, the letter P. This one is much more nuanced as it's quite similar to the English sound. The only real difference here is in English we have a bit of aspiration, so think how I'd say Portugal, potato. In those words I've added a tiny puff of air when I've said them. In Spanish there is no aspiration, no puff of air. It's a much shorter sound. Portugal. So think of the English words pin and pot. We don't really aspirate those. So papa, pequeño, poco. And number 10, the vowel sounds. The vowels are almost the biggest giveaway if someone is a non-native speaker. They are much shorter than English vowel sounds. A, E, I, O, U. Keep practicing to say that. A, E, I, O, U. So hopefully this helps with your pronunciation a little bit. I'm going to add this video to all module introduction areas regardless of the topic, just to help refresh your knowledge at any time.